So have you ever said to yourself, like, I'm too old to make changes, I'm not disciplined enough to stick to, a healthy routine, or I'm never going to lose weight, I'm never going to get fitter, or I don't have time to prioritize taking care of myself or cooking my own meals, or the list just goes on and on and on. So, and when you say or think thoughts like that, it really does like zap your motivation, your self-esteem, your confidence, and it really does make it difficult to sustain any type of healthy lifestyle choices. Hey, Sal, how you doing today? It's lovely to see you back.
Hi, Peter. How are you?
Yeah, good, good, good. Have you ever said any of these things?
Yes, yeah.
Anyone in particular, or all of the above?
Um, where do I start? That was
Oh,
probably,
okay.
it's too hard. Where do I start? There's so much information, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I'm guilty, and I'm very guilty of it, probably since I've moved into my 60s, saying, I feel a bit blah, or I feel a bit tired, and I really have made that conscious effort to pull myself up on saying those things, because when we say those things constantly, we start to believe them, and we go all in on it. It's 100%.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm definitely tired, but I might have just been a little bit tired, as an example. So when we say those things, they're actually like they're limiting. They are limiting beliefs. So they're, they can really, really stop us from, reaching the goals that we want to reach when it comes to having a healthy lifestyle. They put lots of barriers up in front of ourselves. They can be very ingrained too. They can go right back to childhood, or they could be in our subconscious, and we may not even be aware that we're doing it. And I think that's the first step to take when we hear ourselves saying these things to ourselves, or, those thoughts are popping into our head, to become more self-aware of recognizing that we're doing that, and then writing it down, I think, because when you write it down, it's definitely more real to you, and I think you'll question it more if you write it down.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts around that, Sal?
My first thought was on it was when you're saying those things to yourself, I don't
Yeah,
have time. I don't know where to start. I've tried losing weight and it hasn't happened. I don't know how to eat healthy.
yeah,
As you said, they're all negative thoughts, they're all negative comments. I think the first question you have to ask yourself is, do you want it?
mm,
And be honest about it, because you can make that choice. You can make that choice of, you know what, I'm happy the way I am. That's okay, you know. But I think you have to be honest, and don't use those excuses. You know, deep inside your head, you're going, you know what, I'm happy the way I am, but you're using those excuses verbally to
yeah,
justify your decision. So I think the
yeah.
first question to ask yourself is, do I want it?
Yeah, look, I caught Betty the other day when we were doing an exercise session. She happens to be our eldest client. She's in her 80s. And she went, "Oh, I'm too old for that, Peter." And I've gone, "Stop that, Betty. Stop that now." I said, "Now you're sounding like my mother. And I keep telling my mother how awesome you are." So no more of that nonsense. And she said, "Oh, sorry. No, I'm not too old. Okay." And so yeah, she took it as a bit of a joke and everything like that. And it is very true that we need to challenge those thoughts that come into our head. Firstly, be aware that we're saying them or we're thinking them, realizing that they're probably not true. And that's why we want to challenge them, because are they based on facts? Yeah, you might be 80, but are you really old? You know, if you were to look at Betty and go, well, hang on a minute, she's still driving her car, she's going out, she's getting her groceries for herself, she's supporting her husband, you know, she exercises, she catches up with friends, so, and she's traveling, so she's doing all of the things that she loves and enjoys. So is she really old? Yes, in age, maybe, but in what she does, not so much.
No, no. And it's the same with being tired, like you mentioned being tired before. You know, oh,
Yeah.
I'm too tired to do it. I'm too tired to go and do my exercise. You're only tired in that moment.
Yeah.
And I talk to my daughters about this a lot. You know, exercising or having a healthy fitness routine is such a catch-22 because you go, oh, I'm so tired. I just can't be bothered. But if you could be bothered, you're not going to be tired because you're going to have that energy.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. And, you know, we know that when you move, it changes that physiology in your body. So it changes the energy flow in your body. So definitely movement, whether that be structured exercises or simply some type of movement, that is definitely going to give you more energy than where you're at right now.
And it has an impact on the way you think too. You know, we
Oh,
often talk about, you know, at the end of a workout, you know, those happy hormones are flowing.
yeah. Yes, definitely. And I think that when you're challenging those thoughts, Sal, you really have to take the emotion out of it and take a very rational, logical approach to it. Because when we put the emotion to it, we're going to be justifying those thoughts and beliefs that we have.
Yeah, definitely. And our actions,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. I think the next thing is to replace those thoughts that you're having. So with some type of positive thought process, you know, so if you're saying to yourself currently, well, I'm too old to make a change, then maybe it might be, I can make positive changes at any age, as an example.
Yes.
So I'm just reframing that for myself. So if we go back to, you know, what that first step is, to be aware of it and to write it down. Well, while you're writing it down and you're challenging those beliefs, then what you could do is take that next step and go, how can I rephrase this for myself so that I'm looking at it from a more positive self-talk perspective?
And a more neutral perspective,
Yeah,
you know. Yeah.
yeah, totally. Um, I think the next aspect of it is to spend some time visualizing it as well too. So seeing what it is that you're believing. So actually, you know, take a look at yourself in the mirror, and really dig deep into it. So truly look into your eyes and see what you see, as opposed to, you know, looking at yourself in the mirror and judging yourself for, oh, I've got a crooked nose, or, you know, whatever it happens to be. So just that visualization of really truly seeing yourself for who you are, but also see yourself as a healthy, fit person who takes care of yourself. Because what you're then doing is, if you're seeing yourself that way and you're believing that, then you're more likely to take those steps and the action that you need to take in order to make those healthy lifestyle choices, as opposed to listening to those negative thoughts and chatter that's going on in your head.
And remember, most women dodge the mirror and they
I do.
dodge photographs. So, another thing could be pulling out old photographs, and having a look at yourself. But yeah, definitely standing in front of the mirror. Pick out 5, 10 points that you absolutely love about yourself.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I often do that with my granddaughters. We stand in front of the mirror and I go, okay, tell me something that you can see that you love about yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because even at very young ages now at school, there's a lot of negativity and, thoughts like, oh, you're fat. My granddaughter, who at the age of 7 said that the boys kept on telling her she was fat. By no stretch of the imagination is this little girl fat,
No.
but she in her head is starting to believe it, and she said to me, come on, Nanny, let's go do more hikes because I need to lose weight at 7 years old. And I'm going, honey, no, you are perfect. Those, but what's going to be going on in her head then is this is going to instill that in her if she starts to believe it, and she's going to carry that through her life. So it's really important that she is hanging out with, number one, different people.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost, and that she has those more positive influences in her life, and that she doesn't start to believe these stories that she's being told.
Because that could have a big impact on her, in her teen years, as far as, any eating disorders.
Totally.
That could come through. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And, we're seeing more of that at younger ages now. So, and she's quite an active young lady, she's out there riding bikes and, playing and doing all sorts of things. She'd sooner be outdoors than indoors. She loves swimming and everything. So, but I don't want her thinking that she needs to exercise because of that. I want her to simply enjoy the process of being involved in those activities because she likes doing them.
Yeah.
I think, Sal, the next thing, and we always come back to this and we always say it, ladies, it's small steps, isn't it? Like, you've got to take just one step. You've got to challenge yourself to go, hang on a minute, is that true? Is that factual? Okay, it isn't really. So what's that step? What's that action that I'm going to take that is going to help me live that healthy life that I want to live?
Yeah. And it's small steps, it's not all or nothing. It's not, I've got to go hell for leather and, run a marathon in my first week of exercising. It's got to be small steps. You and I both know we've been in this industry for a very long time, and there is so much information out there. So much information on how to do this, how to do that. And there could be 5 different ways on how to do one single thing. And that's when you need to bring it back to the basics and, yes, back to the small steps.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting, Sal, that you say that, because one of the things that I was thinking about was we have a free group, Women Over 50 Get Active and Healthy. And it was the last day in October, and I thought, you know what? Because we often have challenges going on. And so I'm looking at those challenges that I'm doing and I'm thinking, is it too hard? Is there too much information? Am I making it like so overwhelming? And I thought, I just randomly on the 1st of November popped in, did a live, and I said, okay, you know, that part of your arm that you wave and it waves, the underneath part of it, you know, who wants to do an arm toning challenge? And so I gave, you know, one multi-jointed, faceted, you know, compound exercise to do. And I said, and here's what you're going to do. Wow, the take-up rate has been massive. And they're checking in every day and saying, yep, got it done. I've increased it. And that's a small step, right?
Yeah.
It was very small. And I did. It was just like such a random thing. It was like, okay, I'm going to do something that's really, really tiny, that it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that we are overwhelmed. There probably is too much information out there. And so we just don't know where to turn. Do we turn left?
Yeah.
Do we turn right? It's just so confusing.
Yes, it is so confusing. You know, we're a big part of, we have, you know, social media in our lives, a big part of social media.
Yeah.
And it's just overwhelming with the amount of information you're given. And the other thing too is the amount of, some of that information is, you know, if you don't do it this way, then you'll never be able to do it.
Mm.
You know, if you don't do it this way, then don't bother doing it at all. And that's not the case. As you said, it was a small challenge. You know, we all complain about our arms as women, you know, and they took up the challenge, you know, because it was something small. It wasn't a do this and you need all this equipment and you need this and you need that and, you know, and it's going to take you 2 hours to do every day. And, you know.
Yeah. So the aim was that it's less than 5 minutes, you know, and this week, being our first week, it's 2 minutes. Like, it's seriously, I'm doing it in under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So and I'm doing it with them. So, you know, they're going, okay. And I think that leads you to the next step, isn't it? Like, have support, get support.
Yes.
Because when you share, you know, the goals or the challenges that you happen to have in your life with either a friend or family member or some type of support group or a coach or something, you get that level of encouragement, you get that level of accountability as well too. And I think that's a fairly important aspect of it as well too.
And I think it's very important to let them know that it's non-negotiable. You know, there are going to be times when life does get in the way. You know, you're not going to be able to do it at 7 o'clock in the morning or whatever. Or, you know, you go out for dinner and there's nothing healthy on the menu. But I think it's very important to set down at the start that it is non-negotiable. And that you'll support people and your family and your friends know that, you know, that it's non-negotiable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when it comes to these limiting beliefs and thoughts that we have, Sal, they can be, as I said, subconscious, very ingrained from childhood as well. So we may need to go and get some type of professional help. It may not be something that our friends, our family, a coach can help us with. We might have to take that next step, depending on what traumas we've had in our life and what's associated and what's behind those beliefs that we have as well too. So, and I think that's important to identify that. And it starts with that first step, which I mentioned, which was just self-awareness. You know, recently, a young fellow we know passed away, and I was talking to my stepdaughter, and she said, "You never know what's going on in someone's head." And I said, "No, you never know what's going on in someone's head, but half the time we don't know what's going on in our head either." I said, if you think about yourself, you know, with all the kids that you've got and, you know, and working, you're running from here to there, to somewhere else. I said, you never have that opportunity to pause. And if you do, you go, oh, hang on a minute, I better do the washing, I better do the folding. So we don't allow ourselves that time and that grace that we need to connect with ourselves, our thoughts, and to really take the emotion out of things and to be super logical in what's happening, because sometimes we can think things are way worse than what they are, or we believe that situation to be way worse and to be true than what it really is. So, yeah. And look, Sal, I decided on this topic originally because I had been speaking with one of our PT clients, and she had gone great guns. She'd had tremendous success, you know, 1 week there. And, you know, she was doing her workouts, she was eating healthy, she was sleeping well, you know, so all those key elements of well-being, she was just absolutely nailing it. Then when it came to the next week, I noticed she wasn't there on the Monday. She turned up on the Tuesday, but I noticed she wasn't there on the Wednesday. And then she wasn't there on the Friday. And so when we got together the following week, I said to her, how's the week been for you? Disaster. Just disaster, she said. You know, I haven't been eating well, I haven't been doing this, and I haven't exercised. And I said to her, you know, it's always that one thing. There is one thing that anchors us, right? And so for myself, it's my workouts. I do my workouts. I make better decisions for myself. And I said, and I suspect that for you, when you do your workouts, it's your anchor and you make better decisions because you missed your workouts. And, you know, she said to me at that time then, she said, oh, I think you might be right with that. And I said, well, okay, let's go through this process now. So let's spend some time thinking about the thoughts that are happening for you and what's stopping you from getting to your workouts. And let's go through that process. So, yeah, we all have it. You know, we all encounter these things.
Absolutely. And I think, like, I know for myself, you know, when I go through different journeys, the thing that you have to remember is it's not just for a set period of time. So if you've had wonderful results for a week, you can't then go on Sunday, oh, well, I'm done. I'm good now. Because it doesn't work like that. You know, we talk about fitness and a healthy lifestyle. It's for life.
Oh, it is.
It's for what you want to do at the age that Betty is at, you know, at 84 years old.
Yeah.
You know, do you still want to be driving your car? Do you still want to be going and getting your groceries? Do you have a partner that you need to be looking after as you get older? So it's not, you have to stop thinking of it as, you can have goals, absolutely, through that journey, but when you've reached that goal, set your next one.
Oh, absolutely. You never really get to the end of it. It's always just, it's just a daily proposition. How do I wake up, and what's my intention for today? How am I going to live this life that I have in each moment? You know, and we have to do all those practical things. So, you know, we're going to work, or we're looking after grandkids, or you know, life is life, and it is what we make of it. So we do have to do all the mundane things, but we also get to make choices for ourselves each day about how we're going to support ourselves in that day and the impact that day will have on my future life. You know, and I know that I've spoken about this before, but, you know, I'm scared if I think about, you know, I look at my mum and where she is now. And she recently went to her specialist again. We go every 90 days. And, you know, he said, you know, her kidney function had diminished by quite a lot this time. And he said, we need to keep an eye on that. And she just said, oh, okay, yep. And I said, well, what would she notice in her body? Will there be back pain? Could there be this and that? And he said, yes, and you might notice, you know, and he went through some things, and she says, I don't need to know. And I said, okay, Mum, you may not need to know, but the person you're going to call when you're feeling unwell is me. So I need to know. And if I know, then when you call me, I know what we need to do. And I know that what she's going through, having these chronic diseases that she has, they are preventable. If we choose to have a healthy lifestyle and we choose ourselves. You know, she's been like this since her 30s. My grandmother passed away, you know, a few years younger than what I am. I'm pushing back on this stuff. I don't know whether I'm going to, you know, never encounter the illnesses that they have or they had, but I know that it scares me enough to look at it and go, I need to do this stuff for me, no matter what, no matter what. And life does throw things at us. You know, when we say, oh, life's been chaotic, it's going to always have those moments and periods. So what we need to do is have those fallback positions. I call them the life happens plan. You know, what am I going to do when life throws me those curveballs? How am I going to handle it?
I think I just want to go back to one of your points about what you do today impacts your future. Remember, the future is not 30 years' time. The future's tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, so what you do today is going to impact what you do tomorrow. And the other point I want to make too is when I was talking about, you know, reaching your goals and then setting a new goal, I can guarantee 99% of the women that are watching this have thought about their weight straight away.
Right.
And
yes. Yeah.
your goal does not have to be your weight.
No.
Your goal could be, okay, I'm going to increase my workouts, or I'm going to get better at this exercise. I'm going to put more steps in. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to start journaling. The goal does not always have to revolve around that number on the scale.
And I like what you said there, Sal. The examples that you gave were actions.
Yes.
So they weren't actually something that I'm looking to achieve. They were actions that I was going to take. And it's a far better way to look at a goal than to just go, I want to be a number on a scale. And, you know, if you think about it, you know, one of the things that we constantly hear, particularly with our menopausal, postmenopausal women, you know, you're menopausal, I'm postmenopause, you know, it's like, you know, I really want to get rid of my belly fat, you know, but there's different types of fat in our body. And the one that we really need to worry about is the visceral fat, because that's the one that entwines itself around all our organs and, you know, causes inflammation in our body. And it's the thing that we don't want to have, you know, so we might have a little bit of floppy skin around the place. That's okay. that really is okay. And, if you want to look totally toned, that's okay too. But it isn't just about a number on a scale. And we need to change those thought processes that we
Those
have
thoughts,
as,
yeah.
yeah, we need to think of,
And
yeah, we need to
sorry, I was
think
going to
about it.
say too. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
we need to think about it. It's health. And the thing is that we don't see what's happening inside our body. And that's the thing about this chronic illness that my mother is going through, that, my grandmother went through as well too. You don't see it, but it is just slowly taking the life away from you.
Mm, yeah, yeah. And if what I wanted to say was that, remember, it's a domino effect. So if you start walking, more than
Yeah,
likely you're going to start eating healthy. If you start eating healthy, more than likely you're going to start exercising.
yeah,
If you start meditating or journaling, your stress levels are going to come down.
yes.
So everything is a domino effect. If your stress levels are down, you're going to be sleeping better. If you're
Mhm.
sleeping better, you're going to start, okay, well, I am going to go and exercise.
Yes.
So every one step is a domino effect into everything else.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. Do you have any final thoughts for us, Sal?
No, that was my final
That
thought.
was your
The
final
domino
thought,
effect. Yeah.
the domino effect. And it's very, very true. When we do one thing, when we take that one action, what that one action leads to is the next positive action. So what we really want you to think about today, ladies, are those thoughts that are limiting the actions that you are taking in your life, and to really think about them and try and challenge them in some way, shape, or form, and ask yourself, are they really true and accurate, or are there just thoughts that I'm having, and I'm just allowing those negative beliefs to stop me from reaching my goals?
Beautiful.
Thanks, Sel, for joining me today. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. We'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.